Welcome to Productivity and Tea. My name is Kelly. I am the founder and owner of D20 Theory, a lifestyle brand for multi-passionate women. We are here today joined by Jess Williamson. She is a mindset and business coach, and we're going to chat about all different things: productivity, mindset, self-care, the usual. But first, I wanted to share something that we normally have Melissa join us for. She helps us with all of our awesome introductions to new types of tea for productivity and tea. I know everybody here who's joining us live is sipping their own version of tea tonight. I right now am drinking the hot yoga tea from Sipology, and that is the tea that Melissa shared with me. Unfortunately, she's not feeling really well today, so she gave me some great information to share with you all. And so hot yoga is an herbal tea that features warm spices and herbs like cinnamon, ginger, and cardamom. And these spices combined with the earthy herbs blend for a centering experience that is similar to yoga. So that's why it's called hot yoga. And you can relax and enjoy the aroma while you taste the warming notes with each sip. I think that's a lovely description and definitely better than I would do if I had to come up with it on my own. So thank you, Melissa, for helping us with that intro to the tea here. I would have just called it an herbal chai because that's how simply I would describe it. But all those great descriptive words really help, explain what it tastes like, and it's really yummy. So if you see me sipping throughout today's productivity and tea event, that is what I will be drinking. So moving on from the tea more to the productivity part of things, I will introduce Jess, who is our featured guest expert. I want to say tonight, but I will make a point that it is the morning where she is because we are in totally different sides of the world. She's joining us from Australia, and as many of you know, I am in Philadelphia, which is the East Coast of the United States, which I don't have to clarify too often, but it's fun to be able to have a conversation from all the way across the world. It's super awesome. So Jess is an award-winning mindset and business coach and serial entrepreneur. She has scaled 4 successful businesses in the last 5 years, which is super impressive. What that really means is that she has her fair share of business experience, and she is also the woman behind the Couch Chats podcast. So, true multipassionate. She's got a lot going on. I'm really excited. Thank you, Jess, for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I guess it's been an interesting journey. So I started back in 2016 with my first business, and it was a swimwear brand. And we actually had the most success in the USA. So I had warehouses there and in Hong Kong, and I recently sold it to someone in California. So I just decided that that was kind of like my baby, but it was time to move on and, really just step into and put all of the energy into doing my business and mindset coaching. And then I'd had other businesses in there as well. So I was doing influencer travel, so taking influencers on trips all around the world. And that was pretty cool to be part of, but very stressful at the same time. And then, I had an events venue here in Perth in Western Australia and so many things. But in 2019, I was actually doing all of them at once, including my coaching. And I definitely hit some rock bottom burnouts along the way. And so for the past 3 years, I've been on my huge own personal journey. I think business is a personal journey in itself, since I started, but really deep diving into, what does success mean to me? How do I want to be living my life, and redefining what is truly possible. We can work less and earn more. We can make a huge impact and get to do what we love every day. And, it is possible to do all of it. So that's kind of the message that I really want to share with people, and that I get to work with my clients on, is how do they build their business without having to hustle and sacrifice their lifestyle and, all of that stuff that we get taught that we have to do. And I think people are now realizing that that's not the only way, which is amazing. So I then did a lot of certifications and just upskilling in things like NLP and hypnosis and the power of the subconscious mind. And all of those kind of psychology things just really, really excite me in the realm of how do we use psychology to succeed. So that's kind of a bit about me and where I'm at right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize you were doing so many of those things all at once at some point. Like
Yeah,
that's
yes,
that's impressive, but I completely understand why you use the word burnout because that would
yes,
be a lot for anybody. Anybody.
absolutely.
But that's awesome because that really gave you that real life experience to be able to say, this was me trying to do everything. This is me scaling it back, setting priorities, setting boundaries, all the things that, come up and that sound very familiar to me because they come up in my workshops and my coaching sessions as well. And that's where we have some overlap is the mindset aspect of everything.
Yes,
I'm definitely not a business coach. I'm learning as I go with the whole business world. Productivity is the other half of what I do. So that's
yes,
of course can be applied to business, can be applied to anything, just like mindset
yeah,
can. But yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from and I think that's really cool that you had that personal journey that you're able to apply and that you're able to add that the educational piece, like all the other parts of what you learned along the way, personally and like professionally, to your
yeah,
coaching and how you help other people now. So very cool, very cool.
definitely. Yeah.
So that very much answers the question that I didn't even like fully ask yet, which is like, what makes you multi-passionate? Cross that one off already. We already got that. We answered that fully. um, how do you keep all the, I mean, even if you're only doing one thing at a time or in the middle of when you were doing all those things at once, what kept everything together as far as like time management or scheduling or like all the words that are associated with like productivity? Like how did you manage to actually do it all for a period of time?
Yeah, so systems and processes is like the most important thing. So I had one VA and still have one VA running multi six-figure businesses. Even when I was doing five, I had two VAs, one, my main one, and one assistant. And so a lot of people think you have to have like 50 staff members and, all of this stuff. And whilst we had, external warehousing, everything was automated. So our warehouse in the USA synced to our website, synced to our shipping, synced to the emails were automated to go out to the customers. Like every single thing was automated where it could be. And then my one VA who was super amazing and super efficient. So that is the best part about having someone who's got initiative and who is productive in their own right, because then you don't have to hire 10 people. You can hire one amazing person and they can work with that. But then everything that couldn't be automated, I have systems and processes. So really clear outlines. This is how we can do it the most efficient way and make sure that things get done. So that was something that I've just done from day one. I kind of hired my VA in the beginning and I just said, look, at the time, I didn't have time to train them. So I was kind of like, just analyze what I've done in the back end on the emails or this and that. And then I got them to write up the process documents because what that did saved me time because I didn't have any. And secondly, it allowed me to analyze or understand, do they understand the process? Because they were the one creating the process document. So then we had process documents that if the VA was away or we got a new one or whatever happened, I didn't have to retrain. I didn't have to, go through that process again. So I've kind of always been about efficiencies, but I probably wouldn't recommend running 5 businesses at once. But I didn't start 5 businesses all at the same time. They were kind of staggered. And then I got to the point where even though my swimwear brand, it wasn't taking up much time, maybe 1 to 2 hours a day, just kind of overseeing and checking in. And the rest, it was running itself, which is pretty cool to get it to that point. But I still knew even just 2 hours a day, the rest of the hours a day, my brain was still holding energetic space for that. So I decided that, you know, what do I really want? What do I really want to be doing? What lights me up the most? And that was my coaching and just getting to share whatever message I felt like sharing, so just really investing more in my personal brand. And I decided to sell the business, not because it wasn't making money, not because it wasn't great or didn't love it anymore, but just because of the energy. And so when I let go of that, I was able to really put all of my energy into my business and also have some energy left over to rest or, hang out with my partner and do all of that. So that's kind of how I managed it. And I'm all about like, how can we let's just focus on the important things. Like right now, I have 90 things on my to-do list, but I don't get overwhelmed because I use an app called Todoist. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I
I
have.
find it really helpful. Yeah, I find it really helpful because you can schedule things per day. And then I just click on today, I can see 5 things, and then the rest is out of my brain. And I don't know where it is, but it's scheduled somewhere, when it's important. And that's just helped me prioritize what is going to move my business forward and let me put my time and energy into that. The other things, if they're not that important, I either pass to my VA and she can, work it out, or do we even need to do it? Because I think in business, so often people get caught up in, oh, I can't do marketing until I have a good photo shoot, or I can't do this until I have my website all spick and span, and I'm like, your main priority right now is sales. Scrap the website, scrap the photo shoot, let's just get the sales coming in. So that's kind of how I run my business and just run it really lean as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So many like golden nuggets of information right there. I love that. And the one thing that in a good way makes me uncomfortable is the idea that like the VA kind of, had to learn as she was going, but in a way that helped both of you. Like that wouldn't necessarily be the ideal situation. It's not how you would necessarily plan it. Like you would love, as the person in control, head of everything, to be like, here's the manual, learn it, like, the whole
Yeah, but
process.
that's where people get stuck. It's like, I don't actually have to create this. Like, I'll do a quick video with her, run her through like basics. Or to be honest, she used to work night shifts. She's on my time zone. And she used to work night shift in another job and work part-time with me. And to set up our USA warehouse, I would have had to be up between the hours of midnight and like 4 a.m. And that is just, I need sleep. Like, I'm not someone who can do all-nighters. So I just said to her, look, I don't even know how we set up this USA warehouse. She doesn't know, I don't know. But since you're on their time zone right now, you're doing night shift, do you mind just giving it a go? And this was on a Friday night as well. I was with my partner, just, trying to enjoy myself as well, enjoy my night. And the next morning, I woke up on Saturday morning and she said, Jess, I've sorted it all out. We are synced up. We are linked up. I've talked to the warehouse. I've connected all the tech. Everything is set and ready to go. And I was like, this girl is a gold mine. I am keeping her on forever because it is hard to find staff or assistants or anyone who can just use that initiative. Like, let's just figure it out. The same as I would have had to figure it out, but I would have then been awake all night, spent probably 5 hours trying to figure it out myself. Then I would have to spend another 2 to 3 hours training her. And then because I didn't get any sleep, then I'd have to have my sleep during the day. So all up, that would have cost me 20 hours of my time when it actually cost me zero. All I did was give her the login and she figured it out. So finding just like one right hand person that can just really just hit that ground running and who understands that they kind of need to run their own thing, it's allowed me to not have to micromanage. And I just really trust her with everything. So that has been a huge help for me.
Yeah, I think having the right people on your team in many senses of
Mm.
the word team, like whether it's literally somebody that is helping you with the business or just family and friends, people in your life that are supportive of you, like just having the right people in the right roles for
Yeah.
your life and your business makes such a difference. People that you can really trust and can really turn to. And that even when neither of you know exactly what you're doing, somebody who's committed to helping you figure that out or supporting you throughout that process, that is just somebody you can't replace. So that's
Yeah.
really awesome. I'm so happy that you have that person, because that is like your right hand. That is like, you
Hmm.
can't, I mean, not that you couldn't do it. You did everything at one point. You've done a lot on your own,
Yeah.
but it is nice to be able to,
Yeah.
you know, mentally separate yourself from some of that and know that it's still going to get done, and get done in a way that you can happily put your name on it. And that's really cool.
Yeah. And people often think, that for me, the biggest barrier to getting someone on board earlier was like the cost factor. And I was like, oh, I don't have, $50,000 to pay someone every year back then. Um, but she's a VA and she's based in the Philippines. And what I find really interesting about that, and you can find people on freelancer sites and things, but their alternative to working, with other people internationally is that they get $2 an hour in their country if, her past jobs paid her $2 to $3 an hour. I pay her 10. So she's 3x her income. But also because she's been so amazing, I have all of my business clients who are like, I need a VA, I need a good VA. So
Mhm.
I've passed her more clients that now she's actually just hired 6 people under her. She's now running her VA kind of agency in a way. She's just 3x her income since hiring those staff. Her husband's been able to quit his job. They've been able to buy a new house and they can stay home with their brand new baby who's 1 year old. So for me, it's a huge, like, really fulfilling thing that I can pay her, way more than they would get in their own country for their standard of living and everything. She's now got to create this life, and also now she can help these other people earn a bunch more as well and get to stay home with her family. So it's a really cool opportunity, on both ends, that I get an amazing staff member and I can really help her, build her own wealth and things on that end as well.
Yeah, that's neat, because I'm sure that there are plenty of times where you've shared like client success stories. I mean, that's something that coaches do. We tell the story of what we do through the stories of our clients and how they've evolved. And she's not even a client of yours; she's a staff member. And just being around you has has had such an influence on her life and all the
Yeah.
people that she has now hired and are working with her. And that's really awesome to have such a big like sphere of influence. And as much as we plan and have goals and like know that we want to have an impact on the world, that's not even necessarily something I would I'll let you speak for yourself, but it's not something I would have even assumed would have been like part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily set out to do that, but I could see how much potential she had. And I said, well, why don't we do this? And then I just put a post up in some Facebook groups, or I've already got the clients who need these VAs. So she didn't have to go out and find them. And then I've supported her. Like, she supports me all the time, in my business as a staff member. But then I'm like, let's just set up a quick call. I'll help you with how to set up your business in a way that isn't going to require all that time from you as well. So it's really awesome to be able to support her in that way. And then I get a really loyal staff member that really appreciates the help that I've been able to assist her with as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I know a lot of the situations that that we've talked about so far are things that without the right team and without the right, tools and systems and processes and all those things in place would be really stressful. And it seems like you've got a good, working set of systems and tools and all of that to support you. The other side of that is that there's still stress. No matter what, there will always be stress. There's always, there's always a need to practice self-care. And we are at the very end of April right now, which is actually Stress Awareness Month. So
Wow.
yeah, I realized that the other day. And I was like, we have to talk about this. And to be honest, I don't know. It might just be a United States thing. I don't know if it's a National Stress Awareness Month. I didn't actually look that far ahead, if I'm being transparent. But
That's
either
okay. I'll adopt it.
yeah, but either way, it's a really important topic no matter what month it is. obviously, and for multi-passionate women like us and like all the women in the D20 theory community who are trying to do all of the things at once without being burnt out, without being stressed out. What is something that is a little less practical, maybe? Like it's not necessarily a system or a process or all the nerdy things that I'm sure we could chat about forever. That is something that you've done for your own self-care or to reduce your stress recently.
Yeah, so for me, I don't know if this is not practical, maybe it is, but I implemented Feel Good Fridays. And I implemented that about 2 years ago. And what it is like the whole day is blocked off. Today is Friday, which I've made an exception, but the whole day is normally blocked off on Fridays, where if I've had too much on during the week, it allows me that overflow to move some work over here so that I'm not burning myself to the brim in
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the week. So I can put some work there. But most of the time I just kind of check in with myself. Do I need rest today? Do I need play? Do I get to go have brunch with some friends? What is it that I want to do? And as business owners or just women in general, we have control over our whole calendar, but quite often work or business takes over. So I decided that Fridays is just my day to do what feels good for me. And so, regardless of whether I need rest or play or catch up on a little bit of work, or maybe I want to study something that I'm really interested in, then I've got that space. And so, I've actually expanded that to most afternoons are kind of for that as well, but just kind of minimizing the amount of work, because sometimes we just kind of wake up. In the past, I used to wake up, not even think about breakfast or getting ready, and I would just work. And then it would be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would be like, oh, better have breakfast or, better do something. And so I've really had to rewire like my nervous system and the way that I used to work, because I was probably working off adrenaline completely in the past. So that's been something. But then I also like to just kind of allow myself some just brain time, because I realized this when I went on my first retreat. There was no Wi-Fi, there was no phone service, and I don't know if you guys have that problem in America, but there's a lot of areas around here with no service whatsoever. You're off the grid completely, and I was really uncomfortable. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what do I do? And then I tried to sit down and start reading a book, and I was like, nah. And then I got up and I tried to have a walk. And the chef on the trip, she was like, Jess, are you okay? Like, you look really like someone's just died or something. I was like, I'm trying to have a relaxing walk. So if I look like someone's just died when I'm trying to relax, then there's a problem. And so that was like the reset I needed to realize, holy shit, that was the way I was working, and my whole body and my nervous system and adrenaline was just like became my norm, and that was a problem. So I realized that just having no podcasts in my ears, no books, nothing stimulating or distracting my mind was something that I was missing. So I like to just have time where I just sit on the couch and just be, or go and sit out in nature, or go for a walk, and not try and be productive, which is like kind of counterintuitive when we want to do all the things. But
Yeah.
having not productive time, like going for a daily walk and not listening to a podcast, is like the best thing, because then you can process emotions, you can process, how you're feeling about things, or just ideas flow and inspiration happens, and just so many things that we forget about in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost just like rewriting that narrative and redefining what success is for you, what productivity is for you, really getting in tune with what your goals are. Because if the only goals you have in your life are for your business to be successful, you're only ever going to focus on that. And of course, we all want to be happy, we all want to be healthy, we all have interests outside of what we do that makes us money, but we don't always prioritize those things.
Hmm.
And that's when we start to feel it in our bodies. And
Yeah.
a lot of us are not in tune with that. Like you said, you have to
Yeah.
really listen to yourself. And it's really easy when you are a like go getter, like put your head down, do the work. I'm going to achieve those goals. I'm going to be the best at this and that and everything, to just ignore the things that you're feeling, because that's something
Mm,
you're telling yourself to push through, to work through. It's like a barrier,
yeah.
but it's really your body telling you what you do need to do to sustain that energy, to sustain that productivity, to
Yeah.
keep
And
going.
yeah, funnily enough, I mean, I think society as a whole has this belief of I need to work hard to be successful. People have always told us as we were growing up, make sure you work hard, and you'll do well. But I am just like wanting everyone to rewrite that belief, because you don't have to work hard to be successful. On paper, my business has earned more money than I have ever earned in my life. Like, I am kind of almost in shock of I don't even know what to do with all this money. But then I've worked less than ever. Like, in the past month, I just moved into my new home and this is my new office. And I've been painting the house and spending time with my partner. And, I've worked less than I've ever worked, yet I've earned more than I've ever earned in my life. And to me, success means low stress, and enjoying life. And so I've had less stress than ever. It's got to feel good along the process. But our brains are almost doing us a disservice, because they're like, no, 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 you can't work less and earn more, or it's actually not possible to take time out and not be productive and be successful. So that's where guilt sets in when we're trying to relax, or we're wanting to sit down and watch Netflix, and our brain's like, hey, shouldn't you be working right now because you want to be successful? But sometimes that's the most productive thing that we can do, is to not not be working, not be hustling, and then success comes as a result. So it really starts with rewiring the beliefs around having to work hard to be successful, and then removing that guilt around that. And that's kind of how I've created this success in my business in the last few months, especially.
Yeah, yeah, that it definitely it makes sense, but at the same time, it's like not intuitive because of what
Yep.
the stories we've been telling ourselves and that we've heard for our whole lives. It's like, no, it makes perfect sense when you say it out loud, but it's not necessarily how we're always operating, and it takes a
Yeah.
conscious effort, which is why this is such an important conversation to have. And I
Yeah.
think that the more that these types of conversations happen, the more that, the more that that side of the story gets stuck in your brain, and that that becomes your default. But it's not something that's going to change overnight. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes sometimes the help of a coach. There's
Yeah.
there's definitely a reason that coaching is such a like a booming industry right now, because there's so many unique ways to help as a coach, and there are so many opportunities to rewrite these stories that we have for
Mm.
ourselves about what we actually want to do and want to be, and if we can do it all, or if we have to, fit into a narrow definition of what happy and successful is. And it's a really exciting time to be in this field and to be able to have these types of conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, switching gears a little bit, I always like to ask my guests for productivity and tea, what kinds of things inspire them? What other things can the women who are here live or watching the recording can go and like, who can they follow on Instagram? What book can they read that's helped you recently? Or like, what podcast other than your own, because obviously we're going to talk about your podcast too, because it's awesome. But in addition to that, like what accounts or people or books, or I know this is a really big question all at once, but whatever comes to mind first, like what are the things that have inspired you that you could easily recommend for our listeners and watchers to go check out?
Yeah, I've actually got some books here. I'm just going to grab them and then I can show you which one,
Okay.
which ones are good. So, um,
Take this opportunity to take a sip of my tea.
yeah, go for it. Um, just trying to find them is the challenge. Okay, I can't find the second one. But there's The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I'm not sure if you've read it, but it is. Did you say you have read it?
No, I have
Oh,
not
you
read it,
haven't.
but it sounds interesting because I have a psychology background. So of course it's like right up
Yeah,
my alley.
yeah. So the power of the subconscious mind, I found it really, really interesting. And, how people have used the subconscious mind to heal themselves or to create wealth or, and the power of it. And I found it really interesting because I'm quite a logical thinker. So it backs it up with science or real examples. And it almost creates the belief in your mind that the subconscious mind can do so much, inside of our bodies if we know how to tap into it. So just even believing that we have that power within us is really, really cool. And then I do love some Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk. So this one was a really good one. I'm not sure if you've read this either.
No, I haven't, but I've definitely
No.
heard of him.
Yeah, yeah. So Jay Shetty, his podcast is quite good. I kind of pick and choose which episodes I want to listen to, but he, he is like the coach to Will Smith, and really, really quite spiritual but mindset based in a way. So it's really, really interesting. But there are just so many things that I go, to be honest, my mind goes blank when I think of these. And I probably should have, I saw the question, I should have wrote them down. But I try lately, I've actually been trying not to consume as much because I feel like as a society right now, we have like information overload. And it's like, what ideas are really mine and what ideas have I just decided on because I've heard someone else say them? And even just on social media, I'm trying not to consume as much and just like be and process what is already inside of me. So that's something that I'm almost actively trying not to do and not to consume too much.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I'm kind of on a different journey in that way. And not to say that either one of us is right or wrong,
Yeah,
because it's unique to each of us. But it's interesting that we can have so many things in common, have so many, similar interests and similarities in business and all that. And what I've found for myself, I'm trying to think of like to give you a time frame, but like I don't know, over the last year or so, I guess it kind of coincides with, when the business ramps up, when D20 theory starts having all kinds of things going on at once, and there's so many opportunities which are all great and I love them, but I start to feel like I am only creating, producing, sharing, giving, like all these things that I love doing that are literally the whole point of why I started D20 theory, to be able to do all of that. But then I'm not like filling my own cup back up, and I'm not taking in things that inspire me. I'm not taking the
mm,
time to do, to even just find a new like Instagram account that inspires me, or read a book, or like I stop listening to the podcast because I get busy and I'm trying to do other things. I realize that I cut those things out when I get too busy, and then I feel stuck. Like I get into this creative rut where I'm like, I should be able to come up with this. I should be able to keep going, and it usually coincides with that and a couple of other
yeah,
things.
interesting.
It's not just one dimensional, but there's I've recently discovered about myself that is a common theme, that I'm not really taking in as much, and then I feel stuck, like there's nothing inspiring me, and that's
Mm,
it wasn't what I expected, I guess, which is kind of the,
yeah, so interesting.
yeah, it's something that we hear a lot as coaches. It's like, oh, I didn't expect that. Like, oh, I'd learned this about myself. But when it happens to you, it still is just as surprising. It's like
Mhm.
we didn't learn anything. What do we know?
Yeah.
It's funny in that way.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I think that it's kind of funny that we are on two different paths there, but we're both listening to ourselves and what we need and making changes based off of that, which is leading by example for the women that we serve, which is
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, and what kind of triggered me to sort of stop consuming as much is because I was feeling this overwhelm, and I just like felt like all these messages, and I was like, I need to say everything. And I was like, felt like a ticking time bomb almost. I was like, I'm filling up with just all these ideas, all these things that I just want to say and am inspired by. And, and then I was like, but I can't say them all at once. And then like trying to process that. And it was just like a mess. So I was like, let me just calm it down and then process those things and then get them out.
Yeah, yeah, that makes that makes sense. There's
Yeah.
definitely we found ourselves at two different ends of the spectrum, and we need
Yeah.
to get back to that middle point where
Yes.
there is some sense of balance, even if balance looks different for both of us. Like whatever that
Yeah.
internal sense of balance is, I think that's we're both headed in the same direction, but coming from different directions, I guess, or we're headed to the same point. I
Yeah.
don't know, whatever I'm trying to say.
Definitely. But yeah, I actually really enjoy just reality TV. And that's like my inspiration, or like my form of meditation is just
Yeah.
reality TV. So
Yeah, I have I don't know if I should be proud to say this or not, but I've seen every episode of Teen Mom. That is my
oh
it's like my reality TV, which yeah,
yeah,
I
claim it.
definitely
I think someone, because I recently put on my Instagram that I feel like reality TV is almost like expansive and educational, because you know I love watching the Real Housewives or like Kardashians or Selling Sunset, and I find that it's expansive in the way of like what is wealth and what does wealth look like, but also it's just like entertaining at the same time,
right.
and great to learn about conflict. But there's actually been studies done recently that apparently really highly educated and smart women do watch reality TV. So it's really interesting.
So I
So you
love
can
that. I will
wear
remember.
that team mum badge of honor.
That's great. I will absolutely remember that, and I'm gonna look it up so that I can like confidently quote it and be like, here's the article,
Yeah.
here was the study, it was published in this journal. Next time, because nobody's gonna believe me, but
Yes.
I believe you, and I'm gonna go look for that so that I can quote it, because I just my brain is always on, and it's a way for me to turn my brain off. But I
Yeah.
agree that it's also kind of it's a little bit educational. And the thing that I find interesting about like Teen Mom in particular is that most of the women on that show are either like a year older or a year younger than me or exactly the same age as me. And it's like my life could have been different. Like I am here. I am, even if I'm, whatever I'm happy about, upset about, feeling like I've proud of myself for achieving this, or like I haven't achieved enough. Like there are these parallel stories of these other women who are doing their own incredible things and like making the best of their adversities. And it's interesting to kind of to have grown up together in a way and see that, which is different than what you're saying about like because of course there are a lot of different types of reality TV, a lot of
Yeah.
different shows
Yes.
out there, but for different reasons. It's not like the trash TV that people who don't like it
No.
are like talking bad about it. There are actually decent reasons to watch it. So I'm glad I found
Yes.
an ally today.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we are running out of time, so I want to make sure that everybody here live and watching the recording knows how to connect with you, what to look for, what you have coming up that you're excited to share about. And then, of course, just a quick little reminder that everybody who did register for this, whether you're here live or watching the recording, if you signed up to join us tonight, you're going to get an email with links for lots of awesome things that Jess has going on. So don't feel the need to like write everything down word for word. But if you didn't, make sure you write it down.
Yes. So obviously my podcast, Couch Chats, I have links in my bio on Instagram at jess.williamson8. Otherwise, you can just search Couch Chats, and I share a lot about my journey and mindset and just thoughts that I have that are really, I guess, empowering in a way for women. But I also have a lot of free free mini lessons or resources. So, one that we kind of touched on earlier was like the belief around having to work hard. And so, I've created a limiting beliefs workbook where you can kind of discover some of those beliefs that are maybe holding you back and work on rewriting those stories for yourself. So, I have that free resource with a free mini video with that. And then I've also got a lesson on setting goals, which is kind of a really good one just for, whether you're in business or not. And so I've got a free lesson on there on setting goals, and I really anchor it deeply in, NLP programming, mindset practices, and also manifestation. So there's a lot in there. It's not just like, what do we want to do? And we set smart goals. I don't do smart goals, so go and have a look, and you'll kind of find out my unique method there. So yeah, there's heaps on my website. Feel free to check it out, or even just come and connect on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So many great ways to, to take advantage of, like you said, your unique perspective. And I think that's what I love about these types of conversations, that it is truly a sense of like community over competition. Like you have something unique to, unique way to serve and to share, your experiences, which is different than what I do. And even when there's things that overlap, like we all have so much value to give. And I love being able to be that like hype girl and shout out, like, this is what Jess is doing, this is what this person's doing, and, sharing all the unique things that we have going on. And I also just love the name Couch Chats because it just automatically makes me feel like I'm just sitting on the couch, relaxing, listening to the conversation. Like it's so chill. It's not like a formal, like, stuffy type of interview. It already
Yeah.
sounds like a lot of fun even before you press play.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so, so much for having me. It's honestly been so much fun, and you are such a great hype girl. So thank you. And it's nice to connect.
Thank you. And thanks for, all of the great resources, great information that you shared. And I hope that we connect very soon.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you so
good.
much.
I hope you have a good day since it's morning where you are.
Yes.
And I'll say good night from my end. See
Yeah. Good
you later,
night.
either way.